Hello, my dear friends. It's David reporting back. First of all, I'll do a quick check-in. I've been doing really well on the 40 milligram or 4 milliliter of methadose. Taper is going okay. I guess the clonidine and clonazepam helps with the tapering. And I've become, the more clear and stable I am, the more I am able to deal with situations that arise in my life and how I react to it. For example, today my doctor pointed out he knows that I've just went through trials and tribulations regarding to family matters and, busted my elbow open and all that kind of stuff, broke that shit and had a lot of issues on my plate and he told me that he noticed I really did not react in anger, in relapse, in frustrations. I wasn't loud, I wasn't sad, I was any of it. I was very balanced, and I told him tough times don't last, tough people do. um, So in 4 days I'll be going down to 35 and my journey keeps going down and I'm dealing with it and I'm fine. It's totally doable if you listen to your doctors and go down by 5 to 10% every month, okay, of your dose, 5 to 10% of your dose every month. I want to read you an update from the Canadian Health Association and advisory from the coroner's report in BC. A little article, okay? So bear with me. More than 140 people died from illicit drug toxicity across BC during the month of June, the Provincial Coroner's Services says, pushing the total number of fatalities this year past 1,000. So in the first, we lost 146 people in June, 197 in May. In July, we do an average, so we've lost almost 1,100 people in the first 7 months. If I'm correct, it's about 1,082 in total. Let me keep going. The tally also means more than 10,000 people have now died as a result of toxic drugs in BC since the public health emergency was declared in April of 2016. It is now the number one cause of death between ages 19 and 39 in British Columbia, toxic drugs. These were men, women, and youth from all walks of life. They lived in our neighborhoods, worked in our workplaces, and played on our sports teams. Some lived ordinary lives, while others faced enormous challenges, Chief Coroner Lisa Lapointe wrote in a statement. All of them fell prey to a lethal supply of illicit drug that is omnipresent. First ever paid prescription fentanyl program launches in Vancouver. The co-founder of Moms Stop the Harm said Tuesday it's difficult to see the sheer number of deaths continue months after month. More than 6 years into a public health emergency. After so long, she said it's challenging to hold the wider public's attention. Each individual who dies leaves behind just a trail of grief. I just want people to understand that this is a tragedy. This dynamic that we're going through is focused on actual individuals, said Leslie McBain, who lost her son to a prescription drug overdose in 2014. Every month, when these numbers come out, it gets to be sort of, oh yeah, here comes another coroner's report. There's going to be a bunch of deaths. And I don't blame people. It's difficult to keep focused on that. And I resonate with that. We've been working very hard with many groups and projects across the region and British Columbia to help the overdose crisis, and we only see increases in overdoses, which is saddening. And the fact, that these safe supply programs have been approved, and the decriminalization of small amounts of drugs has also gone through and been approved, it takes up to a year or so for all these things to actually be inactive, you know. It's a shame that the process always takes so long and people have to die. 16 youth lost this year, report says. The data released Tuesday that 146 people died in June, down from 197 in May, a decrease of more than 26%. The number of deaths was also down 17% from the same month last year. The data showed fatalities across all age groups has decreased, though nearly 75% of those who died were between ages 30 and 59 years old, and nearly 80% of those who died were men. 16 of the people who have died this year were under the age of 19. Another 140 were between 19 and 29. It is an enormous and unprecedented issue that we see come up repeatedly, in fact daily, in my office, said Jennifer Charlesworth, BC representative of Children's Youth. The stats are consistently alarming. Charlesworth said some children survived being poisoned by toxic drugs, but suffered questionable impacts to their well-being and lasting trauma. She said others end up in government care, often losing their parents and guardians as a result of the drug supply. LaPointe has repeated the need for a safer drug supply, as many advocates, academics, and health experts have been doing since the health emergency declaration in 2016. We are recognizing drug use as a symptom and realizing the punishment and stigmatizing only causes further harm, LaPointe said to the news conference Tuesday. Encouraging compassionate treatment and support is the only way to move British Columbians out of harm's way, out of this public health crisis. According to the preliminary post-mortem toxicology tests, the illicit drug supply remains extremely violent. Fentanyl has been found in higher and higher concentrations, according to the coroner's service. Closure of Vancouver Youth Detox Program, devastating, advocate says. Etizolam was detected in 39% of expedited testing between July 2020 and June 2022. Etizolam is Xanax, and it's a benzo, heaviest one. An analog of benzodiazepine, etizolam is a strong sedative whose effect cannot be reversed by naloxone, which challenges first responders trying to save lives. Yes, naloxone is non-responsive to flurazepam and etizolam. The coroner noted that the rate of deaths in the Northern Health Region rose in June, despite dropping in every other health authority. Most people continue to die indoors, report says. No deaths have been reported at supervised consumption or drug overdose prevention sites. No deaths have been reported at supervised consumption or drug overdose prevention sites. There is no indication that the prescribed safe supply contributes to overdose deaths. It's added. The coroner said 2,224 people died as a result of illicit drugs in 2021, making the deadliest year to date. In the first half of 22, 1,065 people have lost their lives. Well, we know now that within the first 7 months of this year, we had lost almost 1,100. So that's the report. I hope people gather their own conclusions and start doing things. Start being active in your community. Speak out. For example, in Ontario, mandates are coming back all over Canada. In Ontario, U of T students now have to take vaccines in order to attend school. People who have to have serious operations and treatments and transplants in Canadian hospitals, It's now been ruled by a judge and 6 doctors that they must be vaccinated or they will not be helped. They will be denied until they're vaccinated. So a lot of people are also leaving, selling their businesses, leaving Canada because they're forced into vaccinations, masks, mandates, and also forcing their customers to do the same. So we are seeing the biggest drop in unemployment, in employment in the history here in Canada. London and Hamilton has the biggest unemployment rate in Canada right now. In Ontario, people are resigning and leaving their jobs. That's why there is such a high demand for work in every field right now out there, because people are leaving. If you can't join certain rallies and freedom protests, try to raise awareness in your community. And I will just say one thing: do it in a non-violent way, always in a peaceful way. Okay? I will not mix the two subjects, the freedom movement and the overdose crisis, even though they cross each other, because the same government is suppressing the support we need for homeless people and for addicted people, marginalized people. And the same government is putting mandates, lockdowns, quarantines, and dictatorship into our lives. Peace for now. I'm doing well, and I hope you can follow my footsteps, because it is totally possible. I used to call myself a lifey, a junkie for life, at 20 years into it. But hey, I'm 7.5 years since I've done heroin or put a needle in my arm. Now I only have all those needles and all that paraphernalia because I distribute it to people in the streets. I never ever think of using it. And that's the life you get back if you want it. I'm here for you. You know how to find me. Peace and love.